everyone, and welcome to episode 81 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle and Mike. Sean is out on assignment. Thank you for joining us today. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about the show we're talking about today. Missing Sean. Seems like that man is always out on assignment anymore. I tell you what. Leaving us behind, traveling the world.
He's the world traveler while we sit
He,
at home.
he is. But I hope he's having a blast on his assignment.
I hope so too.
How are you doing today, Turtle?
Yeah, I'm fantastic, man. We're talking about a very special show today. We're gonna get into it here in just a minute, but I was excited about this show, as soon as they announced it, because we haven't had anything new in this world for a while, let alone like the original creator being heavily involved in this one. So very excited to talk about today's series.
Yeah, when they announced this, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Just like to be able to get another property in this universe, the fact that the legendary creator was coming back to work on it, like hard not to be excited.
Absolutely. So to unveil and break the suspense, today we have a rule of three episode. In our rule of threes, one of us will pick an anime for the others to watch the first three episodes and decide if it's something they would continue to watch. This week, we're doing a rule of three for, drum roll please, Dragon Ball Daima. Just a reminder for the dubbed fans out there, Dragon Ball Daima hits theaters this weekend, and it runs for 3 days from November 10th to the 12th. They will be premiering the first three episodes of Daima dubbed in English, and Dragon Ball Daima can be viewed right now on Crunchyroll and Netflix. So without further ado, you ready to jump right in?
Hell yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped.
Excellent. Here we go. Episode 1, Conspiracy.
I love how they use the opening bit to retell the Majin Buu series saga and seeing it from a different perspective than our heroes or us the viewers. I guess you could call these two characters like surrogates for us the viewers because they were watching it on TVs as well. But you figure this is supposed to take place in the timeline shortly after the Majin Buu saga completes. So it's perfect to say, okay, well, we have to. It's been how many years since the Majin Buu saga has completed? Dragon Ball Z has gone off the air. It's the perfect way to retell everything, the major story points.
Absolutely. I thought it was an incredible recap. And I also wanted to shout out the original Dragon Ball visuals before we got the recap. We got a beautiful updated art style to see like the Dragon Ball characters from way back in the day. And we even got to see some updated art style of Raditz for a hot minute, which was really cool. So I'm loving the show already.
So this is the first time I've watched anything Dragon Ball related subbed. I know some people are purists and they're like, "How dare you watch dub?" Da 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 da. I am a watch it how you want to watch it, but you're watching it, and that's all that matters. Um, but this is the first time I've watched anything Dragon Ball related subbed, and Majin Buu's voice was way better subbed than dubbed. I loved how much more sinister it sounded compared to the dub where it's very childish and like I just loved that sinister feeling. It's like, oh, okay, this guy means business. Where like in the dub, it was like, oh, he's sort of kitty, ha ha ha. And like he eventually turned sinister and shows everything, but like I just loved how sinister he sounded from the jump.
That's fair. I never really watched the original Japanese version with subtitles. I was always the English because that's my native tongue. So it's just easier for me to engage in this material when they're speaking my language. Um, this was sort of my first. Well, I shouldn't say first because when Super came out, I was watching it in Japanese just so I could stay on top, and I was also super excited for that. But yeah, Boo's voice actor for Japanese definitely has a more sinister vibe to him. Uh, I do still kind of prefer the English. I could see why you would like it and why others would like it as well. There's nothing wrong with it. It's wonderful. It's fine. But the English is kind of what I'm used to. And for the first version of Boo we get, Fat Boo. I don't know. Can we say that? Not being offensive. That's what he's been referred to in the fandom. So um, he has the baby elements to him, and you assume that he's not that dangerous, especially when you have characters like Gohan. He's like, I can't sense his energy. Is he really that dangerous? And he's like a baby, so he has the goofy voice to match that. But then when he does something horrible, the English voice actor will darken the voice and, be more sinister with it and then switch back to the silly baby. So to me, I just kind of connected with that a little bit more where he's, you just assume that, oh, this he's dressed like a baby, he's wearing a diaper, he can't be that dangerous, and then he destroys you, and you just don't see it coming. So I kinda prefer the English for that reason, but, the Japanese voice is also excellent, so, just depends on what you prefer, both are good.
For sure. Also, one thing to point out is you figure the original Dragon Ball Z run was back when we were in like middle school and high school. Like back then, it was Toonami, and that was it. Like you had 56K internet. Like there was no easy way to watch this content dubbed. Or I'm sorry, subbed. Like maybe you would find a random anime channel late at night, but like otherwise, you weren't. It wasn't easily accessible like it is today, where you could just load up Crunchyroll and it's like, oh, okay, cool, it's right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, "Hey, I wanna watch this right now." You can pull it up. You're right, back in the day, we had to wait for Toonami to put it on, which, uh, what was it? I think 4:30 was Sailor Moon, and then 5 o'clock was Dragon Ball Z. So, like, if you weren't at the TV at that time, you weren't watching this week.
And then you had to wait for summer vacation to end when they weren't putting out new episodes.
Yeah.
I loved how the two characters were when they were like watching Shenron granting wishes and everything. They were like taking notes. It's like, oh, okay, that's the password. Okay, that's how we find the balls. That like, oh, okay, like that was just hilarious to me.
It was kinda like me as I'm watching this episode. "Okay, they're taking notes? Okay." That's kinda how I felt. I was trying to study everything.
And we learned that the one character that was taking notes is the Supreme Kai's brother. And not only does the Supreme Kai have a brother, he also has a sister named Dr. Aransu, who King Goma is definitely crushing on. And you know she played Goma like a fiddle and she's up to something.
Absolutely. The new lore that we're getting already for episode 1 is crazy. I'm so excited. It's I just like Shin, we've had I guess not the largest time spent with him. I mean, he's introduced in the Boo saga. But that's, the Boo saga and then he's in Super but not a whole lot. And even like in Super, he's kind of painted as young and doesn't know what he's doing, which can be kind of funny. But like to find out now that he actually has siblings and they've been in the demon realm the entire time, it just I don't know. I'm just so excited to learn more from the mind of the great Toriyama himself. Also, Dr. Arensu's hairstyle is interesting. Just go straight up.
Whoosh. She's going Super Saiyan without being a Saiyan.
I guess maybe that's it. She was a fan. But, to your point, she's definitely up to something, and we'll learn a little bit more later on. She's definitely gonna be up I don't know what it is. They haven't revealed what it is yet, but she's definitely up to something. I'm keeping my eye out for her.
And then couple things I got a great laugh out of in the next couple scenes. When Dr. Aranzu snuck up behind them when they were like figuring out what to wish for. They're like, ah, oh, what, where? No, we aren't scheming.
I love she walks off the scene and then just magically appears behind them to spook them and then walks away again. I don't trust this lady.
And then Dragon Ball naming logic at its finest. Deborah's father's name is Abora.
Oh, that's just classic Toriyama. I love it to death.
It's like, okay, we have Goten. Okay, or we have Goku. Okay, okay, yeah. Let's uh let's name his son Gohan. Okay, okay. What if Goku had another son? Um, okay, let's name him Goten. Okay, yeah, 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 that works.
I would have laughed if it's like, there's Goku and Gohan and then Go 3 because he's the third Goku, but he went with Go 10. Where are the other 7? Where'd they go?
And before we get our first little cut to the whole like what would be a commercial cut, we have a mysterious figure lurking in the shadows. I wonder who that could be.
Harm. Who could it be?
We meet an older Namekian named Neva, and I wonder if Piccolo or Dende has ever heard of this Neva because he's definitely giving off like grandfather vibes.
Yeah, this is the stinky old man is so Toriyama. I also wanted to note about the giant robot fish. King Goma announces himself the king, and the big fish is like, "Good for you."
I
He just
love
doesn't
that.
he doesn't care at all, and that made me laugh so much.
The fish just completely no sold him. It's like, okay, that's nice. Like, what do you want?
I think the fish might be my favorite character so far. He's not in it enough.
It's sort of like Monty Python. It's like, I didn't vote for you.
Oh,
You didn't.
yeah, it's
You don't
good
vote
good
for
for
me.
you.
I pulled a. I got a sword out of the lake. What type of electoral system is that? Random women giving out swords.
You got a sword from a watery tart. It's yeah, it's just it was such a great moment. This is like Toriyama's humor is 100% firing on all cylinders in these couple episodes. I absolutely love it.
I did find it interesting that they took the universe idea from Super because I don't
Yeah.
think they ever talked about that in Z. So it's like if this does like if you're watching the content in like a timeline order, like in those early episodes of Super, they're like, "What? There's different universes," and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're from Universe 6." It's like, huh? Or you're going to Universe 6.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever mentioned to Goku at this point and the crew though, because this is all like on the Demon Realm side. So I guess they know about the other universes,
That's true.
but our main crew won't know about them until I guess a few years down the road when Super happens. Because I'm pretty sure it takes place before Super,
Yes,
if
it does.
this is considered canon.
Right. Which, as of now, I would take no reason why it wouldn't be.
Yes, I would agree with you. As of now, I'm gonna say that everything happens in here is gonna be canon. This is where things get kinda weird when because Toriyama didn't plan everything out in advance. He wrote a lot of stuff on the fly, and I don't know how involved he was with Super. I know he had input, but I think, Toei Animation sorta was at the helm of that ship, where he was very involved in this from what I understand, more so than normal. So I don't know if this was all like his the writing was all him. I know he did a lot of like character redesigns and like background designs and things. So yeah, I'm gonna assume everything is canon. So you kind of have to watch timeline wise what you do and what you say so you don't counteract things you've already said, which has already happened in Super. It gets kind of messy when you jump around like this, but it's all in good fun.
We also learned that Dr. Aranzu is already on Earth. I wonder what she's plotting.
Yes, and this is the point that I was talking about earlier. She's definitely up to something if she's been to Earth already. And how many times? What is she doing? Why would she need to go to Earth? Something's going on. I assume we will find out later in the show.
21 minutes into the episode, and we finally see our heroes. Oh, and happy birthday, Trunks. And I guess we're happy that the Earth is back too.
Yes, Earth has been restored. Thank goodness.
It's like they're celebrating Trunks' birthday more than the Earth being back.
Well, I mean, how many times has Goku defeated a world-ending villain? They just sorta are numb to it and they moved on.
It's like, we'll just use Shenron to wish the Earth back. It's fine.
I also laughed really hard at all these short jokes that happened in quick succession.
Yes. Those were Krillin's like, "Oh, you're a little short."
Yeah, Krillin picks on Trunks. "Oh, you're 9 years old and you're not getting any taller." And then Trunks is making fun of Krillin, who's what, like 30, 40 something and still the same height. And I do love that Goku reminds everybody that Saiyans get a growth spurt around 15 because, in the early Dragon Ball, Goku stays relatively short for most of the entire show until the very, very end where he shoots up. And I love that he follows this by saying that Vegeta never got very big.
Must have been the Earth there.
It must have been. I love Vegeta, like, whips around. He's like, "You picking a fight?" This is just such a great sequence of jokes. It was really well done.
Goku asking the hard-hitting question about how the Supreme Kai and Kibito are back to being two different people after using the Patera earrings. And then I love how he's like, "Oh, I guess," like, after he gets the explanation, he's like, "Oh, I guess you 2 didn't really wanna be fused forever, did you?" And Supreme Kai's like, "Yeah, Kibito's old," and just from the top rope murders him.
I found this a little odd, and this ties into what I was saying before when you're creating shows in between other shows. I kinda remember in Super that they used the Dragon Balls to separate from each other. So now they're saying that they used Boo to separate from each other. So, maybe I'm wrong, but I really recall a moment in Super where they talked about that. Also, I know that Super introduced the Patara earrings having a 1-hour time limit for mortals. So I'm not sure if the Boo gas lore was really needed. So I don't know. The earrings are kinda confusing on how they function. We keep changing their rules.
The animation on the Goku and Vegeta sparring match was top notch, and I will never, ever get tired of the Kamehameha versus Gallic Gun visual.
Yeah, this was absolutely awesome. The animation so far has been incredible, and it looks so much more polished than Super, especially early Super did.
I was gonna say, I remember those early Super episodes where they were just, like, taking the movies and how janky Super Saiyan 3 looked in his fight versus Beerus in one of the
Yeah.
very in those early episodes.
Yeah, and again, it's not the team, it's the pressure put on the team to turn these things out quickly. You can tell they took their time with this, and that's what we wanna see. I am patient, I will wait. Please let the animators take their time and do their jobs to put out a finished product. Don't rush them so they gotta spit out the best thing that they can put together in a week. So they really spent their time. It's really well polished and very pretty.
Who needs a Dragon Radar when you have Neva?
Oh my god, more lore. I'm loving this. So the Namekians came from the demon realm. How crazy is that? I guess the pointy ears are the giveaway now.
But they were saying, like, not everyone with pointy ears is a lock to be from the demon realm?
That's also true. So, but I guess they said in most cases they're from the demon realm, but not all. So that's really interesting too. So Popo had pointy ears. Does that mean that he's also from the demon realm?
I was wondering the same thing.
And along those lines, how does a demon realm citizen be given god powers like Kai, the Supreme Kai, Shin? He's a Kai, right? So he's a demon, yet he's also gifted like god powers to watch over mortals. Interesting. Also, I got to shout out. I'm very disappointed in Mr. Popo here. Dende gets karate chopped, and Popo asks the intruder if he wants any juice. Come on, Popo.
I was also really bummed about this. It's like, "Come on, Popo, you're supposed to be not supposed to let that happen." It's like, "Oh, would you like juice?" It's like, "What?" The Popo I know would never have done that.
Oh, yeah. For all the hardcore Dragon Ball fans, the old Dragon Ball, like, Popo was whooping on Goku back in the day. Like, Popo can fight. Like, at least let him try to defend the Lookout. Do you want any juice?
I love how after they summon Shenron is asking so many questions in regards to the wish. It's like, well, how old do you want them to be? What about the ones that are already kids? And what about this? It's like, geez, why do you have to be so specific about this, Shenron?
I feel like he's never done that before, right?
No. So it made it a nice, funny twist on it.
Because normally it's like, "Oh, I want this," and he would just grant you what you said and not necessarily what you meant. So
Right.
you
Because,
had to
like,
choose your words carefully.
yes. Because you figure they've had some vague wishes in the past.
It might have been kind of funny if, they turn everybody to kids and, like, Goten and Trunks are still the same, so
Goten
they
and
have all their
Trunks are, like,
powers.
the oldest of them now.
Yeah, they still have, full control of themselves, and that might be kind of fun too, just to have them kinda take charge while the, Goku and Vegeta kinda follow behind as they try to get used to their new bodies.
I loved the psychedelic montage of our heroes changing to end the episode.
Yes. It was, it was really cool, all the colors and everything, and again, it's the animation team given time to do their thing.
Turtle, you want to tell us about that closing credit song?
I will. The closing theme is actually our series opening theme. It's called, Jaka John, and it's performed by Zed/C and K. At first, I really didn't care too much for this one. It starts off real slow and soft, but it does build to a catchy chorus section. The lyrics are pretty straightforward, and it's kind of funny. They seem to be promoting the show. It's kind of strange to promote the show during the show. I would only see the opening if I'm already watching the show. For me, this is definitely no Chala Head Chala, but it is growing on me. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's possible my rating may change over time, but I don't think it's gonna,
I mean, I don't know if a Dragon Ball opening credit can ever beat Chala Head Chala.
right? It's pretty good. I mean, even like in Z, it ran forever.
Yeah, oh yeah. Super's theme song was pretty banging.
Yeah, they
And
had some good
and
ones.
you also have to figure you had Rock the Dragon for the dub,
Oh, that's a classic.
which I mean, oh, so good. Just Rock the
It is.
Dragon. You could still fire up Rock the Dragon and get like pumped up.
I do on occasion. I do. It's a
It's like
classic.
it's like, yeah, let's go. Need that adrenaline hit.
Yeah. So this one isn't touching Chala Head Chala for me, but it's still pretty good. And now we're gonna move on to episode 2, which is titled Glorio.
I'm absolutely dead to start this episode when Shenron is like, "Oh yeah, I only give the extra wishes to the regulars."
I feel like he picked up a sense of humor with these guys who keep
Yeah,
summoning him.
yep. And then we start seeing like characters as kids, and Kid Ox King is hilarious looking. It took me a couple times to couple watches to realize who that character was.
Yeah, he's got the old helmet on from Dragon Ball.
Yup. Goma is not pleased about only getting one wish. And I wonder if Dr. Aranzu had a feeling that this would happen and is planning something for the evil third eye.
Very possible. I'm interested about this artifact that they're trying to hunt down, the evil third eye.
Also, Baby Dende, so damn adorable.
Yes. Yes, he is. And let's not forget about Mr. Popo having horns. What a revelation.
We see Baby Goten and Baby Trunks, and I love how they're still able to talk to each other telepathically.
That was a funny little bit.
It's like, huh? It's like, yeah, we could still talk telepathically.
Maybe all babies have that power.
Maybe. We never got to hear from Marin.
That's true. That's
They
true.
did show her as a baby, but she didn't get to talk at all.
Ooh, interesting.
Also, absolutely lost it at baby or at kid Mr. Satan without the mustache.
Yes, he's still sporting the afro though, like a champ.
He's like and I love how everyone's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "It is I, Mr. Satan, the champion."
And then they
And
just walk
they're just
away.
like, "Yeah, whatever." Goku not having the hang of flying makes so much sense because you figure for the longest time, even into Dragon Ball Z, he used flying Nimbus.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
like he never got to fly as as a kid like this. Like I know they were like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't have the sense of like the new sense of his scaling and everything," but it's also like, okay, you could also say he's never had to fly as a kid, so it was a good callback.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Because even like at the end of uh Dragon Ball when he fights Piccolo in the tournament, I'm trying to think if they actually flew. I don't think they really started to like fly until Z,
Yeah, because I mean, you figured the Z Open whenever they were going to fight Raditz, he was on Flying Nimbus
right? So maybe he was able to fly for a little bit, but not like he could in at the end of Z where they all could just fly forever because they had so much energy.
or Instant Transmission.
Oh yeah, he cheats with that one.
it's,
That's the cheat
it's like,
button.
why fly when I could just teleport there instantaneously?
I mean, if I could do that, I would too.
I would 1,000%. Like, if I had a superpower, that would totally be that. It's like, wait, I could just teleport somewhere, be there as long as I can see it and visualize it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a really good ability.
Never having to sit in traffic ever again
Oh yeah,
or pay for flights.
yeah, it's true. You could just teleport to Florida. You could teleport to Japan. Boom, done.
It's like, oh, I'm signing off for work for the day. Where do I want to go eat? Oh, I know. I'll go to Italy. Shoop, there.
And like, say you're gonna go visit Japan, you could just teleport home to your bed to sleep and then go back in the morning. You don't need a hotel. It's amazing.
I loved the look of young Master Roshi, and to me, he had like a One Punch Man look to him.
I love the idea of young Roshi. I think that could that could be its own spin-off show of Daima. Dragon Ball Daima Roshi. But I don't think we're gonna get that much of him in this series, sadly.
I was gonna say, a young Master Roshi is gonna get up to some serious antics with the ladies.
Oh yeah, and they could still have him kicking some butt since he's, the turtle hermit. He knows martial arts. He's like one of the best.
I have to say, Mr. Popo was surprisingly chill after everything that just happened.
Again, my disappointment for Mr. Popo in this series.
Maybe he had a special sensu bean before this all started.
Oh, he's not sharing those with anybody else.
Nope. I love how Goku's like, "Oh, something needs fixed. Call Bulma."
It's worked in the past every time.
I mean, there are worse plans.
Yes, I mean she will figure it out.
And then watching Goku and Piccolo not being able to fly is hilarious. It's like, ah, ah, we're floating all over the place. And like Piccolo was like so sure of himself. He's like pathetic. And it's like, oh, oh, I don't know where I'm going.
Head first into the tree. That was so good. I mean, like Piccolo starts off as a villain, right? So like you get to watch him throughout Z turn around and be a good guy, but he's still very serious. So to see him in a silly moment where like he can't control how to fly and just wreck into a tree was just very funny.
I love how Bulma just abuses Kibito to be her delivery service this episode.
It's so mean.
Like this feels like it's straight out of Super, where like she would always make like Whis and Beerus do things for her.
Yeah, for sure. Say, Kabito, go to my lab and get this for me. Oh, I picked up dinner. Make sure go grab dinner for everybody.
And Kibito's like, I'm not a delivery service. And it didn't. It's like, I don't care. I'm Bulma. You listen to me. When Goku was trying to like punching and kicking and everything and learning how to fly again, and like how he was saying it's gonna take some time to get used to this new size, I totally thought they were gonna go into the hyperbolic time chamber.
Oh, that would have been interesting. You spend a minute or 2 in there, and how much time passes in the real world?
I was gonna
Couple
say it's w
hours?
I you because you figure what, a day is a year in there
Is that
or
what it
something?
is?
It was something similar to that, I thought.
Yeah, it makes sense. Time works differently in there. So, yeah, I mean, you spend a couple minutes in there, a couple hours pass in the real world, you get yourself caught up.
I was absolutely loving the return of the power pole, and I love how Master Roshi uses it to hang laundry.
Yeah, that's very him. What was in Dragon Ball, they were trying to find the Bancho fan, and he was using it as a placemat, and he got it dirty, so he threw it away. Like, so Roshi.
I know we've talked about it already about, like, the Namekians and the demon realm, but I really hope as this show goes on, we get more of that lore, because it's just so interesting to me that the Namekians are from the demon realm.
Absolutely. I'm very excited and interested to learn more about the demon realm. It's been mentioned here and there, but he never really put a ton of time and thought into it because it's never been in the show anywhere. And there've been a couple, games and things where they talk a little bit more about it, but never in great detail. We get introduced to what are their names? Toa and Mira. And I think what Toa is like Deborah's sister or something. And I don't know if that's canon or spin-off because they were in Xenoverse 1 and 2, which
Oh, yeah, and that Dragon Ball superhero show or whatever,
yeah, I mean,
I
look,
think.
I played Xenoverse for a hot minute and I hated the gameplay, so I never played 2. I didn't finish the first one. Just that game was not for me. But it was interesting to be like, oh, they have a sister to Deborah from the demon world. That's cool. So I don't know if those characters are canon. It'd be pretty wild to see them pop up in the show somewhere, even if it's just in the background to say that hey, they're real, they exist. But yeah, like we know next to nothing about the demon realm that's like canon. So this is really exciting to learn more.
Hey, it's that figure that was lurking in the shadows from episode 1, and we learn that his name is Glorio.
The name of this episode. What a
I
coincidence.
am shocked. Glorio is here to give us the premise of the show the rest of the way. Also, I love how the Supreme Kai wasn't quite buying what Gloria was putting down for like, oh yeah, the king of the demon realm 3 sent me here and yeah, we were watching a TV and that's how we learned you were kids and da 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 da. Da." It's like the Supreme Kai was very like, I'm not quite buying it.
I'm actually glad that he's not, since, like I said in Super, they kind of paint him as naive and possibly inept at his job. So for him to be like, okay, the Earth's guardian was kidnapped by demons, and now right after that, another demon has come to pick us up to take us to the demon world. Something doesn't seem right here. Why would I trust you? So it makes sense.
Also, let Vegeta on the spaceships, you jerk.
I know. Vegeta brings up a great point. They're little. There's plenty of room to squeeze in there.
I was gonna say because you figure they had it was Goma, the Supreme Kai's brother, and Neva. So you had two full-grown adults and one small person on the flight there. Like you can't tell me that Vegeta and Goku couldn't like squeezed.
Oh
You
yeah,
had and the
absolutely.
Supreme Kai was also small. So you had
Yeah,
three. You could you. There's no way they couldn't have fit three small people in there.
they could have fit that whole cast of people in there except for Kibito. He's not allowed to come apparently. He's old.
But you know that I mean there has to be a plot point of getting the rest of the cast there.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about something in the next episode that I'm interested to see how we're going to bypass that.
Turtle, you want to tell us about these end credit song? This end credit song?
Yes, end credit song for episode 2 is our actual end credit theme, and it is called Nakama, which I believe translates to friend. It's performed by Zed again, and I really like the idea of the opening and closing theme songs done by the same artist. It feels like a great bookend, like for each episode, and it matches well with the opening theme. It's got a very similar vibe with the opening theme. And that said, I have a very similar opinion as the opening theme. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's fine, but it didn't wow me. And now to our final episode, episode 3. Daima.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
What does that mean? Maybe we'll find out.
I feel like someone posted what it meant. It's a fictional word that translates to evil.
Oh, okay. I would say as a joke, maybe we'll find out, but we don't. But there we go. I didn't look it up. That's shame on me. So it's called Dragon Ball Evil then.
Yes, which has me a
Oh,
little excited for what might happen to come
yeah, I
in the
mean,
future for this show.
we are in the demon world, so it makes sense.
When the Supreme Kai asked where the nearest warp point is, like where it is, I was waiting for them to say New Namek, just for like a callback.
That would have been cool, and especially now that we know that like the Namekians are from the demon world. It would have been neat to be like, oh yeah, we got a secret backdoor entrance to the demon world if we ever want to go.
I am fully embracing dumb Goku with this show. I wasn't sure if they would keep that from Super because like he was always like a little dumb in Z, but like in Super he was like super dumb, like all I care about is eating and fighting. Um and when he almost put a hole into the ship, I was losing it. And then he gets Goma's name wrong. I'm like, "Okay, we are just fully embracing dumb Goku."
I don't necessarily agree with dumb Goku yet, because we're only a few episodes in. He's definitely silly, which I mean, Dragon Ball Goku had some very dumb and silly moments too, but I think Super played the dumb aspect a little too much. I can't say for certain that this show is doing that just yet because we're only 3 episodes in, but there's a lot of silliness that comes from the early Dragon Ball, which has been well incorporated into this so far. So I don't wanna say he's super dumb. Get it? Super dumb.
Eh.
Uh-huh. I don't wanna say he's super dumb yet. We'll have to see where it goes. Um, but I also really love the look on, like, Shin's face when Goku asks how strong King Goma is. Shin's like, "Please, Goku, don't do this right now.
That was also great.
We're not gonna talk about fighting him right now. We need to get there first."
Goku's like, "But if he's strong, I wanna fight him."
And that goes back to the super dumb, but, we'll see where it goes.
This is not what I expected the warp point to look like at all.
The big robot fish is back, and his name is Warp. Very on the nose.
Was I the only person who thought they were gonna use Goku's hair for his pointed ears to enter the demon realm?
I mean, it is pretty pointy. They could totally have done that, but instead we got magic.
Magic ears, go!
And I gotta pick on Shin here. Why does Shin always drop the ball? Like, he dropped the ball in Z too. How long does it take to send, like, a text message with 4 digits? Come on, Shin.
Maybe he was using, like, an old rotary phone in his mind.
He's gotta think one number at a time and wait for it to get over to
Yep,
Kibito's mind. Yeah, I don't know. He's doing the instant transmission, fingers to his brain, and he's like, "Ah, I ran out of time." Like, it's 4 numbers, dude.
and, like, did he get any numbers through? Like, did he get 3 numbers through? So they're just going to be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 1, 2,
Do
3, 8, 1, 2, 3,
the
9.
Family Guy with Stewie on the phone trying to dial home. 111, 1111. Lois, damn. Yeah, so this is like the earlier point. Like, how is Team B going to get to the demon realm when Shin couldn't text message the password to get in? So that'll be interesting.
So many hoops for them to jump through to get to the demon realm. But I do like the explanation of everything. And I wonder if they can bounce between worlds in the demon realm.
Yeah, I mean, when we get into the demon realm, we do see that like the way into world two, I guess, is like sealed off. So how do you travel between worlds? Do you have to go through warp every time?
And like Gloria was making it sound like he got special permissions to go between worlds. So it's like, is that how you go between worlds? Or can like is there a way to do it freely?
And like, who are you getting permission from? It's not King Goma because he would have said no. So how does this how does the hierarchy in this work? We just don't know yet. We don't have enough information.
It also seems like each world of the demon realm has their own king potentially.
Yeah, that's kind of what they made it seem like because Glorio works for the king for Demon World 3, which is where we're in currently. So I guess King Goma is like the king of all three worlds combined. So who's the king for Demon Worlds 1 and 2? Or is like Demon World 1 the superior world, 2 is a step down, and 3 is like the slums? So maybe like Goma is the king of World 1 and he takes his rule and word takes priority over the other ones. We just don't know yet.
But I'm excited to learn.
Absolutely. And of course, because it's Toriyama and this is Dragon Ball, the fish poops you out. That it's just it had to
It's
be. How could I
it's
have not
classic
seen that coming?
it's classic Toriyama.
It makes sense. I should have thought of that.
I absolutely love the look of the third demon world.
It is super cool. I remember hearing that, like I mentioned before, Toriyama did a lot of work with this show. I think he did a lot, if not all, of like the Demon World designs himself. He drew everything out, and it's really cool to go somewhere completely new in Dragon Ball, so he can just have the freedom to do whatever he wants to show us things we've not seen before in the Dragon Ball world. So very excited for this. I'm now very excited to see what Worlds 1 and 2 look like and how they differ from 3.
I just hope we don't I hope we don't lose too much of the vision because of Toriyama's passing.
That's true. I don't know how much he did and accomplished before he did pass. So I'm sure he had, some key team members working with him and behind him that are going to carry out his wishes for this show.
I was a little surprised Goku didn't say more about the Deborah statue.
Yeah, they just kind of like flew past it, didn't they? They're like, "Hey,
Yeah,
it's
like
Deborah."
they're like, "Oh yeah, we," and like he didn't even really make mention of like fighting him. It was just like, "Oh yeah, that statue's there," like sort of crumbling, but like no like real more further explanation into it at all. I thought for sure we would get like, "Oh yeah, that Deborah, he was a tough opponent or something."
It was like, "Hey, that's that guy that Gohan fought for a minute and then left." And that was all the exposure we had for him.
Goku is totally going to use this heavy air for training purposes, isn't he?
Absolutely, it's Goku. It actually turns out that the gas in the air is poisonous, and everyone's going to die in 2 episodes. Ah, what a great show! A little short, but it was pretty good.
Glorio pulls out a pistol, and my immediate thought was, is he a reincarnated shotgun farmer?
There's a YouTube channel I follow, and they were drawing parallels to Star Wars for this section, where like the natives are like the Tusken Raiders, and Glorio is kind of like a Han Solo character, and I can totally see that. And later on, the town we go visit is like Moss Eisley, and I'm like, yeah, this is very Star Wars esque that he drew some inspirations from, probably pretty cool.
Of course, leave it to Goku to fart amongst the gas.
And again, this is Toriyama at his finest, so of course Goku's gonna just rip one. Oh, no one will know because it stinks already. Glorio's like, oh, it got worse all of a sudden.
Goku's like, yeah, sorry about that. He
He did own up to it. He's like, well, I
did.
guess you caught me.
I love how Goku is always hungry.
Well, I mean, you got to figure like these are individuals who have so much like body energy that they can fly, shoot beams from their hands. You got to have food coming in to keep up with that.
But he just ate a giant ass meal before he left.
He did, but it was not enough. He wasn't finished before Glorio showed up and pulled him to the demon realm.
And in episode 1, he ate so much food that he had a gut before his sparring match with Vegeta.
that's that's like a shonen protagonist classic. You just have to eat until you get a big gut. That's Luffy from One Piece is pretty famous for eating a ton of meat specifically, and being like hugely round because he's stretchy, and then it'll magically just he'll shrink back down when he's ready to fight. It's pretty funny. So this is just more of that. Hey, I ate a bunch of food. Time to work it off. I gotta fight Vegeta.
I have to say, Glorio is pretty strong and fast as we finally get our first real fight scene. And I absolutely loved how Goku was eating and fighting at the same time.
It's just perfect. Like that is Goku. He eats and he fights. And I really love the animation and the choreography for this fight scene. Earlier in the episode, Shin asks Glorio, like, "Hey, you said that you work in the Demon World One. What's your job? What do you do?" And Glorio responds with this and that. This dude is totally an assassin, isn't he?
And that I wouldn't put it past him. That's a good call.
I don't think he's like hit level power, but obviously he's strong enough to like whoop on these demons, these low level demons, and he does it with skill. So I'm thinking he's an assassin.
I like that call.
We're gonna
We'll have to
see.
see.
I could be
I was
wrong,
gonna
but
say we'll have to see if you're right or not.
I'm excited to see more about Glorio and what his deal is. But I'm gonna say he does some dirty work behind the scenes. So that brings us to the end of episode 3. So Mike, the big question: would you continue to watch Dragon Ball Daima?
That's the most important question coming out of this, isn't it?
It is.
And I will say 1,000% yes. If it's Dragon Ball, odds are I'm watching it. My hope is that they don't go full GT, because I know when the trailer first dropped and they showed Kid Goku, everyone's like, "Oh no, is this going to be like another GT just because of the Kid Goku?" So hopefully they don't go that route.
Yeah, it's not a secret for us, you listeners of the podcast that I hate GT. I really don't like anything about it. They had some cool ideas that were executed poorly, and I don't ever want to watch that show again. But if they're able to work some of those cool ideas into the show in a good, positive way, I'm okay with that. So, getting turned into kids again, that's a GT kind of thing. And so far, it's been fun to watch. So I'm fine with that. I really hope this doesn't devolve into the GT disaster that it is. That is, I should say. But yes, I would also definitely 50 million% watch this show. I love most things Dragon Ball except for GT. So yes, I'm very excited to learn some new lore, check out some new locations, new realms, meet some new characters, and just have more Dragon Ball goodness. And this is the last project that Toriyama Sensei worked on before his passing. So hopefully we can, continue to keep his vision with the show, and I'm sure it'll turn out pretty great. From these first 3 episodes, I'm very excited to watch more.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be like a week. Like if the episode comes out on Friday, I'm going to either watch it Friday night or Saturday morning.
Yeah, for sure. Typically on Sundays when I wake up, I catch up on my anime episodes. So I will be watching this in Japanese as it airs, and there's a really good chance I'm going to rewatch it in English as that is released as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm gonna continue watching the sub but also go back rewatch the dub.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us this week as we had our Rule of Three episode talking about Dragon Ball Daima. We hope you join us next week for episode 82 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will continue our watch of My Hero Academia Season 7 and Demon Slayer, the Hashira Training Arc. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit that notification bell, and please leave a comment. The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and of course, here on YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.